Wednesday, May 29. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. As the country continues to mourn the passing of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga, members of Parliament took time out of the sitting of the lower house to pay tribute to Mr. Seaga, who died yesterday in Florida, United States. He fell ill earlier this month. He turned 89 on Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, there is no easy way for anyone to prepare themselves for a day like this. Not when we are dealing with a monumental man such as Edward Seaga was.
And we give thanks for his life. Our feelings at this time should not only be those of mourning, that is natural, that is human, but also of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for a long and productive life. I had the opportunity to draw somewhat closer to Mr. Seaga during his retirement, and I came to admire his graciousness and his thoughtfulness.
Mr. Seaga loved Jamaica, and he loved the Jamaican people. He understood the value of our culture and way of life in a way that few other people do. He slept 6 across a bed with the revivalists in Salt Lane and learned and understood what it was to be poor and humble. He dedicated his life to advancing Jamaica in every way, and we have become a cultural powerhouse worldwide because of Mr. Seaga's vision and service. All of us, especially those of us from West Kingston, we are heartbroken today, Mr. Speaker. He was closer than a brother.
When I was about to leave the hospital room, I held his hands and he squeezed my hands and he said, "Thank you, Andrew, and tell the Jamaican people thanks for everything." He served this country for most of his life. He was in this parliament for over 40 years. He is truly a great Jamaican. Indeed, he participated in the framing of our Constitution and in the development of so many institutions which now define Jamaica.
The private sector organization of Jamaica, PBCJ, says it's deeply saddened by the passing of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga on Tuesday. He served as Prime Minister for 9 years, 1980 to 1989, and as leader of the opposition from 1989, when he was defeated at the polls by Michael Manley. President of the PBCJ, Howard Mitchell, in a statement said, quote, "Mr. Seaga's long and distinguished political career and his contribution to Jamaica's cultural, economic and human capital development has left an indelible legacy to the country," end quote. He added that the PBCJ extends sincere condolences to his family and loved ones in this time of bereavement. Vice-Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, on Tuesday also hailed Edward Seaga, the country's 5th Prime Minister, as one of the principal architects of the nation. In a statement to the press, he stated, quote, "It is a sad moment in the movement that is the heroic rise of Jamaica as one of the most confident, courageous and creative nation-states on planet Earth," end quote. Beckles noted that Mr. Seaga in his later years constituted a bridge between community and campus in his role as Distinguished Fellow of the university. Here's a closer look at the life and legacy of Edward Seaga. Prime Minister Edward Seaga is credited as one of the framers of the country's financial and planning infrastructure of the country after independence, as well as developing its arts and crafts and awareness of national heritage. The young Seaga was educated at Woolmer's Boys' School in Jamaica. His parents wanted him to be a medical doctor, but he felt more motivated with the social sciences.
But then I discovered the social sciences. Sociology, psychology, social anthropology, cultural anthropology, etc. And I decided I wanted to switch. And the reason was because, this you may call another trait, that gave me the opportunity to think from day one, because those subjects are not subjects that are written in stone the way the natural sciences are. And with the natural sciences, you have to study all that has been done before you can reach a stage where you can add your thinking. And that just didn't interest me that way.
He would go on to graduate from the Harvard University in the United States in 1952 with a Bachelor of Arts, Harvard A.B. degree in Social Sciences. Returning to Jamaica, Mr. Seaga set up West India Records Limited, WIRL, in the 1950s, releasing early recordings by artists such as Higgs and Wilson and Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. He helped with the promotion and export of ska, and so played a critical role in the early promotion of Jamaican music abroad.
With Desmond Dekker doing Israelites, yes. And the Jewish people, they're thinking that he's singing about them and making it to the charts, both North America and there. It became business, and therefore everybody became enthusiastic. And with that now, whatever else was happening happened.
Seaga's political career began in 1959 when Sir Alexander Bustamante, founder of the Jamaica Labour Party, nominated him to serve in the upper house of the Jamaican Parliament.
I had a problem with how the middle class was seeing folk society. I had a problem of how they downplayed the folk society and how they considered it demeaning. And that didn't go down well with me at all. And I considered that the PNP was representative of that. With Buster, I saw someone who was immersed in the folk society, came out of it and was immersed, and had a stronger feeling, not for the academics or any other aspect of folk society, but for the people. And that was why I made that decision to go with the Labour Party.
His appointment at the age of 29 made him the youngest member ever appointed to the Legislative Council. In 1961, he participated in the drafting of the Jamaican Constitution. In April 1962, Seaga was elected Member of Parliament for West Kingston and was instrumental in the development of the waterfront area in the capital city. He would develop a reputation as an orator, the most famous speech of his being the 1961 speech about the haves and the have-nots.
I started to look at some of the figures, and I saw where figures were very scanted at that time, but I used the income tax published figures where you only paid income tax if you were earning 300 pounds or more. And the number of people then who were paying income tax were a mere 7% of the population. So that's the divide that we had. That was the two Jamaicas on an economic basis. And I publicized that, and I took it a couple of steps further in the analysis, saying how many people were above the 300 or in the 300 plus category, and how many were in the 300 and under category. And I worked out what the earnings were on an average between the two. And that really opened the eyes of everybody.
He was Jamaica's 5th Prime Minister from 1980 to 1989 and was the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party from 1974 to 2005 when he retired from active politics. One of his greatest tenets was the development of national pride.
And so I created a program called 100 Village Community Development Program, which I'll have to cut it short because it's a long thing, which was to develop 100 community centers, many of which existed, but to develop the programs. And then I restructured the Social Welfare Commission to become a Social Development Commission. And I had all the officers trained in doing 4 things. 1, craft, co-ops, literacy, and home economics.
He is the longest-serving Member of Parliament in Jamaica's history, having represented the constituency of West Kingston for 40 years. One of the founding fathers in the framing of the Jamaican Constitution in 1961, he initiated the rewrite of the human rights section of the Constitution to provide for the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, creation of the post of the Public Defender, and he was also instrumental in the development of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. He also contributed to the development in 1969 of the dissemination of the Jamaican currency. Here are some more of his major contributions to the country. The PBCJ expresses its sincere and deepest condolences to his widow, Carla, and the rest of his family. Academic and political commentator Martin Henry died suddenly last night, sending shockwaves throughout the media and education fraternities. Henry collapsed on the premises of Television Jamaica after appearing on a special tribute program for former Prime Minister Edward Seaga, who died yesterday in Miami. PBCJ understands that he had told his media colleagues that he was not feeling well and collapsed on his way from the studio to the front of the building. He was rushed to Medical Associates Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Henry is a noted academic and political commentator who maintained a regular column in the Gleaner newspaper. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development has implemented a project to rehabilitate several markets as part of an initiative that will ensure expanded business and orderly spatial management. Portfolio Minister Desmond McKenzie made the disclosure during his contribution to the 2019-2020 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives yesterday. McKenzie noted that the Falmouth Market in Trelawney was completed in partnership with the Port Authority of Jamaica at a cost of $3 million. He also informed that Phase 1 of the Clarkstown Market has been completed, with Phase 2 of the project, which involves the construction of an administrative building, being done.
The work on the administrative building is presently in motion. Last year I signed the contract for the first phase of a new dispensation in market for the Port Maria Market, Mr. Speaker, which will be a model market in the country. And I am pleased to say, Mr. Speaker, that they are on track. And we are hoping that by July, the Port Maria Market will be completed and ready.
McKenzie also noted that focus will be placed on Stony Hill Market in St. Andrew and the Hopewell Market in Hanover.
We have completed the work on the Black River Market, Mr. Speaker. We are presently working on the Papine Market, and then we'll be focusing our attention on the Stony Hill Market, Mr. Speaker. And as I gave a commitment last year, the Hopewell Market, Mr. Speaker, we now have the funds in an MP, and I will be making some announcements shortly on the Hopewell Market, Mr. Speaker.
Business operators in Clarendon are being urged to review how they store and transport cash to deter criminals from launching brazen attacks such as the one which unfolded in the parish capital on Sunday, in which hoodlums made off with $3 million and other valuables. Winsome Witter, who chairs the Clarendon Chamber of Commerce, said Sunday's incident, in which 2 officers were shot after responding to a robbery in Maypen, and the dramatic fashion of the incident highlights the extent of lawlessness across the country. She says the apparent tactical preparedness of the perpetrators in executing the robbery was cause for concern, and urged businesses to review their cash management policies as part of their internal security measures. It's reported that minutes after 9 a.m. on Sunday, 2 vehicles carrying several gunmen were seen at the premises. The robbers were surprised by 2 officers attached to Maypen Police Station who were on patrol duties. A gun battle ensued and the officers were shot. Supreme Ventures Limited, SVL, Jamaica's leading gaming company, yesterday announced gross ticket sales across multiple gaming projects, including the popular Cash Pot game of $62 billion in 2018. The figure was a 12.3% increase over the 2018 figure, which the gaming giant attributed to focusing on managing costs, successfully implementing cost savings initiatives, whilst investing in the build-out of the group's infrastructure. Chief Executive Officer Ann Dawn Young-Sang said that the 2018 results were a win-win for everybody, including SVL, its customers, and the Jamaican economy. The US dollar on Tuesday, May 28, ended trading at Jamaican $134.02, down by 82 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $99.43, down from Jamaican $102.43, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $169.67, down from $170.46. Here are stories making news across the region.
ECHO was established to ensure that writers and producers earn their due in the music industry, whether it's from a playlist at a hotel or at a carnival fete. In the case of a carnival fete, ECHO wants a portion of ticket sales, 5% as a matter of fact. Promoters are protesting, but operations manager of the Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights, Vanessa Motley, says that's the standard. Before we moved to being ECHO, we had conducted an economic study on what would be fair for the entire region. So the result of that was the 5%. So that's how we arrived at the 5%. CEO of ECHO, Davis Joseph, notes that this is what other countries have implemented. The OACS, Barbados has the same tariff, Jamaica as well, and just a slight difference of 0.5 difference in Trinidad. So it's basically the same across the region. Because we do work together. We all fall under one umbrella organization called ACCESS, the Association of Caribbean Copyright Societies. ECHO is not going away, but promoters are anguished by the timing of their latest appearance, just before Carnival. And with this, the officials understand. I do understand it, we do understand it, and that's what we're saying. Instead of speaking through third parties, you do play an important role, but the most important thing is for us to meet with them and decide how we go forward.
In sports, Netball Jamaica President Dr. Paula Daly Morris said they will be moving swiftly to install a replacement for Shimona Nelson. The goal shooter withdrew from the Sunshine Girls squad to this year's Netball World Cup in Liverpool, England due to injury. The 20-year-old plays for the Collingwood Magpies in Suncorp Super Netball in Australia, where she's rated as one of the best shooters in the competition. But she recently advised Netball Jamaica of her withdrawal due to persistent knee problems. Daly Morris says her association is very saddened by Nelson's withdrawal, but that they respected her decision. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.